when it goes the other way.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit older than you.
I'm not touching this topic. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Mediocre, mid-table, rabble.
So I just want to be able to talk as much
If you play a night game, he has to turn the bloodlines on.
No one would have believed that he would keep his job for as long as he had. But
The Wednesday Week.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. We are well into the summer, and we're still finding things to talk about, but there's still things happening down at S6. Joining me tonight, I've got Charlie, Stevie, and Ash, and we're live. It's gripped, it's sorted. Don't say fuck all bugger, but you can get the comments in if you want. That was some early swearing early doors, weren't it? Look at that. I'm, setting the tone early doors. Chaz, got a new background there, Charlie. Have you not been relegated to the kitchen like usual?
no, I've been relegated upstairs. I'm in the bedroom. So, yeah, sat on my bed. Very professional podcasting environment.
I enjoy it. And Ash, are you excited for Thursday? Ash and I are off to Germany to go and watch some football and consume some lovely high-end largers. Are you all gripped and sorted, Ash? Have you got your traveller's checks ready?
Yeah, mate, I'm all ready. all packed, ready to go. Bit old school, that traveller's checks, isn't it? But if you read online, everywhere's cash, in it. There's me saving me Monzo, and it's all cash everywhere apparently. So,
well, right, this is it, right? So, you guys won't know our mate Dave, but he don't get away a lot. And some of the things he asks us in the group chat were like, "When did you last go away? Was it 1993?" I'm waiting for him to go. Is anybody taking any traveller's checks? He's just got Monzo this year, so I'm very excited about the whole thing. Now, I don't know. Go on, Ash.
So I was just going to say, he's got a copy of his passport folded up in his wallet as well, hasn't he?
In black and white, like printed out, like just in case he needs it. Like, just take a picture of it, bro. We have these devices in our pocket now, and I don't know if you've noticed, we've got a 80% of Stevie that's normally on the show. Look at his trim little pretty face. Where's he all gone? All that training for that charity game that you did, Stevie. Now, I tell you what. Listen, before we get into it, I want you to tell me about that, because I know you've devoted a lot of your time to that to that game, and you've raised some money for charity. And I feel like you should have a soapbox for it, and I feel like you should say goodbye properly.
Oh, I feel a bit emotional now.
It's not nice when it happens to you, is it, Stevie?
I've left me. I've got a framed picture. They gave me a framed picture and everything. It was really nice. But I've over the last 10 years, 11 years, 10 games, 11 years, I have represented Eve Merton's Dreams Trust, which is a Doncaster-based cancer charity. Now, we played Wednesday a couple of times, and after the second Wednesday game, I stood next to a bloke in the Sal in Doncaster. It's a bar, and we were outside, and we looked at each other. We said we've both done 8. We're going to get to 10 and maybe call it a day, because I'm not getting any younger. And the 10th has come round, and as much as I momentarily regretted it at full time on Saturday, it's the right call. And as I said, I'm getting older. I can't do what my body used to be able to do. But over the course of the last 10 years, I've done, between us, me and Al have done 60 odd grand fundraising. The premise of the event is local fundraisers get to play with ex-professional footballers. So if anybody has followed us, and to keep it sort of Wednesday related, the first Wednesday game, I walked out, and the order, there's a picture that I've had on my Twitter bio for a while, and I posted it again the other week. It was Ross Wallace walking out in front of Glenn Whelan with me behind him, Des Walker and Chris Waddle. So you bucket list stuff there right away, isn't it? So it's nice to have been able to do a bit, play with some real legends of the game. But it came to an end last Saturday.
I'm sure you'll be sorely missed, but it's something I wish I genuinely got the chance to go to. But there's some comments coming in of people congratulating you on your efforts, and I'm sure Ash will chuck them up now. At some point, there's been some news coming out of S6. There's been some news. There's been some things talked about. We've also got those Twitter handles just spouting absolute shite. You know, last week we spoke about Humphreys from Rotherham being linked with Rotherham with Sheffield Wednesday, and then this week the same website has somehow said that Josh Windass has not signed a contract, right? And this Twitter account is called, is it Football Insider or Total Insider, something like that? And every time there's an article that they break, it goes, "This is happening," -sources. You know what I mean? Now, if anybody knows anything about journalism, sources just means you can genuinely just make it up, because you go, well, we got told that, and we just reported what the sources said, even though the sources are probably the mayonnaise in the fridge. But, you know, I wanted to drill down, because what they've said here, that Windass has not signed a contract and is looking to move on. So I felt like if we brought this to the table and spoke about it, and then the comments would get involved, we could talk about Josh Windass and his time with the team. Because me personally, some of the comments I've been like, "Are you actually insane? Like, what do you think's happening?" Now, Ash, I'll come to you first. Now, Josh for me, I think on his day is lethal. He has struggled with injuries. And there has been a couple of games where he's been a bit absent, but so have all players, right? They've all got those crosses to bear. He's one of our key players, isn't he, Ash?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with what you say, Dan. I mean, he has got a perceived injury record. I don't think it's going to be as bad as some players that could have been. I mean, but yeah, I think the highlights for him are obviously his couple of goals against Newcastle. Obviously against Barnsley, the game against Blackburn, which took his goal really well. So you've got the highlight reel for him there. I'm looking at I don't know if it's a different way or a different perspective. Is like, who are we going to get? We've got this perceived lack of funds. We've got money. We're not going to be spending millions and millions on people. He is a quality player. He's got a bit of X factor. Do you know what? He's got something about it. He's a game winner. But what we're going to be offering him on a contract, or what we're going to up to, is only what can we afford if he leaves. So I'd keep him if possible. But like you said, this Twitter account that has said it's fell through. Me and Charlie were just talking off air before. He was like, he's getting married in a couple of days. It's all through agents.
Got married. Yeah, he got married yesterday. Yeah. How has he turned? How has he turned down a contract? Hang on. Do you Josh Windass? Hang on a minute. Hang on. I've got a message here. Oh, I'm not signing for that now. The bollocks. Get him tell. You know what I mean? Sorry, babe. Sorry, Vic. Carry on.
Yeah. Back to it. This is more important. Yeah. But, I think it's total. It's like anything, until that player is holding a shirt for another club, or it comes out on his own personal Instagram, whatever, saying he's leaving, or he's signed a new contract, then you can't believe anything. Even like, obviously, local journals, like Alex and Joe, I'm sure they know bits and try and get things wrong, don't they? So I'd rather believe them than some random Twitter follower. So
honestly, I was scrolling through that Twitter account's website, Ash, and I was looking through it, and it's just stories, and you know the phrase, even a broke clock is right twice a day. Like it's that type of account. You know what I mean? Just absolute, just noise into the ether. Let's write about that. Like, who played decent for Rotherham last season? Oh, that geezer did. He won't have to move far. Sheffield Wednesday clearly need a centre back. So, bosh, there's the rumour. That's what it's done. Charlie, where do you sit on it? Now, we've seen Josh try to be quite cryptic sometimes on his social medias and things, and he thinks he's being well good by doing it. And some of it, you're like, bro, you're not pulling it off. Come on. But where do you sit on this Windass thing? Let's not speculate on whether he has or hasn't signed. Let's talk about what would life be like after Josh, and Ash then spoke about who we getting, what we're doing. He's clearly in the circle, that he's in the clique of the team, right? Given who was at his wedding.
I would say so. I think he's integral, and I think we always forget this whenever we're talking about players, is we forget how important it is for a player to be connected to the club as well as what they do on the pitch. And we saw, like, in that little documentary done, And again, like you can see, it's not like he just was like, oh, Palmer, Baz, come over here and make it look like we're all really good pals and we go for coffee all the time. It's quite obvious by his wedding that is a genuine connection that they've got. And I think you mentioned about social media as well, and it does make me laugh with stuff like that, because obviously rumours fly and things, but it's amazing how unbelievably defensive we get when we think someone might be leaving us. Suddenly he's terrible. Suddenly he's not worth the money. I've always hated him. And you think, do you know what? Not one of those people would have likely said, God, I hope we'd bin Windass off in the summer, shortly after he'd scored for us and kept us up and all that. And I think he is someone that is actually quite, he's on social media quite a bit. If I were him and I was, scrolling through and seeing stuff like that, whether or not it would have an influence on my decision, I don't know. But I think people need to be a bit careful sometimes, because suddenly it's like throwing baby out with the bathwater a bit.
Chansiri did say that because of social media comments, we didn't get any investment at some point.
That's exactly it. Cadbury said, no, you can get stuffed. You're not having it. But I don't know. Personally, for me, I'm a massive Windass fan. I think yes, all right, people talk about his injuries, but I don't think he's desperately more injured than a lot of other players. And I think he's a big game player. Where else are you getting that from? I totally agree with Ash. I do not think that for the money we need to spend to get someone of his caliber, I wouldn't break the bank if he was asking for some outrageous sum of money. Like if he was trying to negotiate some outrageous contract, absolutely. But I think we've let talented players slip away because of perceived, like Kieran Lee is a great example. It was all, well, he's made of glass, he's always injured. And then you look and you go, was he actually that injured? And then you look at what he then went and did for other people and you go, were we a bit too quick to judge? Also, show me a Sheffield Wednesday player that isn't always injured, because, we like to nobble him anyway. So it doesn't really matter. Do you remember that season
where we had an entire starting 11 out, didn't we? Around Kieran Lee, Gary Hooper. There was an entire starting 11 were out. Just before I come to you about it, Steve, we've had some great comments about this Josh Windass situation. Ash, pick me out some favourites, because the one there, the last one from Sharman there, really made me laugh. Where the comments on it, and Sharman's just gone with, never fancied her anyway. You can get out, you'll leave if you want, not even bothered. But let's go back to Ash then. So what we got?
We've got Rum Punch Man. On the flip side, every time Josh has been injured, he's come back just as strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd probably agree with that. And Mad Ward, integral to the team is Joshy Windass, and difficult to replace on a free. I mean, that's if we have got no money to spend. We don't know, do we? Don't know what the sort of situation is. But yeah, that's it. A minute.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to see how some of you feel about Josh Windass. Is he integral to the team now? Normally, the voice of reason is the guy that looks like Stevie, but he's a bit bigger. I don't know. We've got here. We've got like a 98% Stevie lookalike. But Steve, what?
I don't. Sorry, Dan. I don't know if anyone else will get this reference, but if you've watched the new Boys season, the Boys on Amazon.
Right.
So there's an actor, Mother's Milk, Laz Alonso. Everyone reckons is a different actor, but he's had a shave and lost loads of weight, and everyone's going, they've replaced him. That's you, Stephen. We haven't replaced Milk. Stevie. He's looking good. There you are.
So go on then, Marvin. Tell us how you feel.
Marvin, it's because I've not turned big light on. That's all it is. I largely agree with everything that's been said so far. The whole wedding situation with him being out there, Pato's there, Bannon's there, Palmer's there. It doesn't strike me that he's going to have a wedding, post all over social media, and then announce at the same time that he's not going to. He's going to reject a contract and all of that. Charlie's made the point that he's had a documentary out in the last few months. Things do change. He's been very active, very social, very, very sort of vocal on social media after having a bit of a hiatus. For me, I don't see that there's anything other than speculation from one source that suggests that it's not going to happen. And I know that certain ITK people on the interwebs will turn around and go, personal circumstances, things have happened, it's collapsed, it's broke down, blah, blah, blah. And there may be some renegotiation that needs to be done, but the reality is he's just got married. I've got it on good authority that he's moving house because my sister's mate lives on the same estate. So what?
The old sister's mate. Can I cite that as sources? Can I?
But this is it, and that's probably where they've got it from.
Say,
but for me, I agree with what Ash has said. I don't until he's holding a Coventry shirt, a Hull shirt, a shirt that represents a team in the MLS. I'm not overly concerned. I don't necessarily think it's a big worry in terms of the money that he'd be demanding, because we do respect to Josh Windass. I think he knows what his worth is, and I don't think he will come out and go, right, I want double my wage or anything like that. I think he's content with, or relatively content with, his lot. I might be wrong. In terms of his value to the team as an on-field asset, he, to me, is probably the most frustrating player that we've got, because he's a big-time player and turns up for big moments. But when those big moments aren't there, there'll be times where he can be very anonymous within games, and there'll be times where he'll go and sit deep and he'll go for a pass, or he'll go and look for bits in the game that aren't working and aren't pulling off. But then 30 seconds later, he's going to score a worldie, or he's going to do something. And if you go back and look at everything that we've done over the last year to 18 months, you go back to the Newcastle game in the FA Cup. Every milestone event, largely, bar ironically the biggest one, Miracle of Hillsborough, he's been an integral part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually shocked by some of the comments, I must admit. But football's a game of opinions, isn't it? Right? Like Jimmy here's gone with, I've learned one thing in life, that everyone can be replaced. Done for. There's only one Dan Fudge. Actually, that's my dad. Yeah, I was just thinking that. Like people go, oh, you're this type of person. I'll be like, I'm literally my dad. I'm literally a carbon copy of him. You know what I mean? And in some respects, he's actually prettier than me as well. But that's why turkey and Botox. What's Brenry gone with? Maybe with the team we had, we needed him more than our future team will. If Danny can build his squad, we won't need such a flair player. I kind of like the contrasting opinions of it. I feel that, the club's quite pragmatic when it comes to offering contracts and stuff like that. I don't feel like we'd have undercut him like essentially we did with Will Volks. If I may be as bold to say, we offered him a deal that we felt was correct in where he sat with the team, and Oxford offered him a better one because he's probably going to be one of their star players, right? And I kind of understand that. I thought it was a bit out of order that he had a bit of a pop when he left. But what was that comment there, Ash? I missed it, bro.
Sorry. Jay Blogs, Windass is talented and an asset. That said, how long contract are we going to give a player in his 30s? He's going eventually, so we need to prepare for it and not be left with a hole, which is the Volks situation, I assume. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Steve.
I think that I was just going to say, I think the contract one is probably the biggest issue that we're facing at the moment, because there's going to be a lot of speculation over contract lengths and what we're offering players. It's interesting to me that we're talking about contracts for players in the 30s. Palmer and Bannon are in the 30s. They've accepted. Is that because they're happy to just have another year? And that's what's been offered. Then you've got the Danny Rule of it all. Is he's staying, and these contracts have been offered under his watch. So he's, whatever happens, he's seen something, or it's been enticing enough for Palmer and Bannon to sign, whereas Volks has said no. Is that going to be a similar sort of situation for Windass? And if it is a similar sort of situation for Windass, I'd like to think, and we'll talk about some players that are that are over the line in a bit. I'd like to think that he's got designs and ideas that we're going to get something better that's in, something better coming in. However, as I said, I'll stand by my point. He's a big game player, and when we've needed those big moments, regardless of his performances, and I know Dan's got a thing about him being relatively anonymous at Wembley, and I don't disagree. He will always go down as the player that scored in 123rd minute, and he's the guy that scored the goal that got us promoted.
Can I also just say as well, and maybe I'm slightly defensive on this, having recently turned 30, but I think we're very quick to. There's a big difference between being in your 30s and in your 30s, in like your mid to late 30s as a footballer. And I think
I don't know, Charlie. It's a distant memory for us three. So
honestly,
you're going to have to tell us all about it.
throw your minds back. But like a 32, if we were worried about giving, say, like a 32-year-old player a 2-year contract, I think that's insane. Like, there's a massive difference between like, and I know football years are they're like dog years, aren't they? Like, I appreciate that, like there is but I do think sometimes the second, and then it starts creeping back in. It's like, well, he's 29 now. Do I really want to make an equipment? Well, he's 16, but someday he'll be 60. Well, it's like, yeah, like there's still. I'm pretty sure Josh Windass is not. He's not starting to age out, is he? Like, have you seen his wedding pictures? He looks great. Irrelevant, but like
he doesn't look as good as Barry Bannon. That suit that Barry Bannon had on it.
It's not to do the the classic sort of Wednesday Ma perving on players thing, but like he was wearing that suit, like good for him.
Yeah.
But I think there's ageism is what I'm concerned about for those of us in our 30s. It is making me feel exceptionally old.
Look at her now. She's in our gang now, lads. Listen to that.
So, we're exempt from the 30s ageism.
So what I got from that, Dan, is that Charlie's contract is suspiciously up for review on July the 1st.
July the 1st. Podcast contracts, you know what I mean?
I'm still good.
I love the way Charlie's talking about this type of thing when we literally opened the show with Stevie talking about having to retire from playing football as well. So big fan of that. I love the juxtaposition of it all. It's absolutely beautiful. Have we got some comments there, Ash, to chuck up? What have we got?
Yeah, Brenry, I think I've said that right. If I could only keep 2 out of Palmer, Bannon and Windass, it would be Windass. I'd be okay. Oh, it's Windass he would be okay with going.
Right.
Sorry,
I
apologies.
was confused then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably agree with that, actually.
Craig Haywood, totally agree. There, very frustrating player is Windass. If he goes, he goes. Yes, I'd like him to stay, but won't lose sleep if he moves.
Can we all agree now that if players do move on, we just go, good luck to you, pal. See you later. Like Will Vox, all of a sudden everybody turned on a dime on him, and then we've got people already signed. Well, go get rid of him. Then bloody hell, bugger off if you want to. Just go. Listen, have a good time. Thanks for the memories. You know,
all from that one Twitter, because it's not come from anywhere else, has it?
No. Nope.
Do you know what I mean? So I like some people jumping on. There's been changes in circumstances. I mean, I don't know if this thing, but his dad, Dean Windass, said on an Instagram that he's going to become a grandfather soon. So I don't know if that's the changing circumstances that obviously his now wife may be expecting, or both of them expecting. But yeah, that's it. One account has blown us, and we've talked about it for 20 minutes now. So
true.
Let's move on. And you accused me for being the stiffler for time. Now, there's been 2 new entrances through the door. First one being Ben Hamer, the veteran now veteran goalkeeper. Does anybody know much about him? I must admit, my knowledge of tracking goalies around the EFL and getting into the minutiae of it isn't great.
Unless his name's Cameron Dawson.
Unless his name's Cameron Dawson.
Yeah, he played against us last season, didn't he, for Watford?
Yeah.
Had a bit of a stormer. 36. Thing is, I think we know Dawson's leaving now. I really think that because we've brought in Hamer at 36, you're thinking if we're looking at getting Beadle back, there's going to be no room for Dawson. And then I think if we don't get our first, second, third choice of goalkeeper, is he going to be a reliable number 1? He played 19, 20 games for Watford last season. 36 is not old for a keeper, really, is it?
No. 36, Charlie. Does that pass the age test? Is that
that's
all right?
fine by me. Hey, he's a spring
fine
chicken as far as I'm concerned.
So I'm just thinking, if you look at him, he hasn't been a first choice through his career, really. He's played 20-odd games. I think he played 45 for Crawley early on. 45 for Brentford early on. So the worry is that he's been brought in, I think, as cover for whoever. And if we don't get that whoever, like I said, are we going to be happy having him as first choice?
I don't know. I mean, get it in the comments, guys. You know, tell us all about it. Where do you feel like we've signed him for? Is it safe hands that we've got in, or have we got him in because we probably know Cameron Dawson's not going to sign his contract? We did have a comment earlier on saying about if Windass doesn't sign Chuck Money and get Jan Poveda. I think we all think that, don't we? Really, I think that's kind of been the par for the course, doesn't it? I agree with you, Smitty. That's exactly what we should be doing. What about you, Stevie? Where do you sit on Ben Hamer? Do you still feel like we're in the market for a new goalie?
Well, yeah, because we haven't got Beadle. But if you're saying, do I see him as a number one? I think the irony of the last 25 minutes is we've talked about age brackets, and I know we're saying that as a goalkeeper 36 in old, but I kind of disagree with that. If I'm honest with you, you look at it, it's the top end age range, isn't it? And if we're looking at signing somebody to be a regular member of our first team squad and he's 36 years old, we do respect to him. I'm not sure that we brought him in as a first choice. If we have, then obviously we've seen something there, and it's Danny Rule or whoever it is in the recruitment have done due diligence, and I trust them to have done that based on the recruitment that we did in January to say that this is somebody that we're going to get over the line and use in an appropriate manner. I don't know enough about him. He did well. He played at Hillsborough, didn't he, for Watford? And I think we drew 0-0, and it was frustrating because we were comfortably the better side that night, and we should have won the game. And he's kept them in it. Is that enough for me to warrant him being our first choice goalkeeper? I'm not sure. Is he better than Dawson? I don't know. Am I going to be happy with him as first choice? Again, until I see him, I'm not sure. I'd wonder what it means in terms of potentially Piers Charles coming in. There's got to be a point at some point in the next season or two where Piers Charles will be getting frustrated if he's not getting more regular first team squad action because he's signed a new contract. He's involved in Northern Ireland. What are we waiting for with that guy? I don't know. So for me, we'll wait and see. It's a solid acquisition. It's not Hollywood. It's not something that's getting me out of bed necessarily, but I'll take it.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Ash has been putting the comments up as you were talking there. I feel like the consensus is the same, but there's an interesting one there from Artemis who's posted up about Cameron Dawson ourselves, saying Cameron Dawson deserves to be a number one. I don't disagree. He does deserve to be a number one. Sheffield Wednesday is too high a level for him in his current form. I feel like and this is going to let me just put rational head on, just normal head, right? Cameron Dawson, as he's come to the Championship, has dropped his arse a few times, and it's got to the point now where the fans are starting to get on his back a little bit. If there's a slight mistake, and we've got people on Twitter screen grabs of where he stood in terms of goals when we got spanked by Millwall 4-0 at home, about where he was and stuff like that. Wait, was that me?
That was you, Daniel.
People.
Just the internet, right? The internet. But But then when he had that season on loan at Exeter, he came back a different person, and because they loved him there, his confidence was up, and he was a great goalkeeper for them. And I feel that if he goes somewhere, let's say he goes to a League One club, let's say he goes to Peterborough, right? And they'd love him. They'd love him, and he'd be great for him, and he'd be really good, and the crowd would be singing his name, and I'd wish him all the best when he goes. Personally, for us at our level, I feel like we need a better standard. If anybody disagrees, let me know.
They reckon he'd be number two, though, wouldn't he, if he went to Peterborough? Like Jed Ward, and that's who's got. They've got the under 20, under 19, under 20 keepers at them.
They've got Jed
his name.
Yeah,
is that his name?
Jed Ward. Jedward. Yeah. They reckon he'd be a number two because he was linked a couple of weeks ago with it.
Oh.
I'm sure it's Peterborough. Forgive me if that's wrong, but it sounds right.
I tell you what, just on a sidebar while I've got you all, folks. Do you remember I was telling you about Dave at the top of the show that we're going on holiday with to Germany? He's just texted us our group chat, and I was teasing him about it, saying it's like going in 1993. He's just texted us now saying, serious question, are we taking any out clothes, bro? We're going for just pack some fucking clothes. You're 43 years old.
I've
Put some jeans in and a nice top.
I've got. Is he listening?
I don't know. I'm going to clip this and send it to him. That's what I'm going to do. But if you think Dave should take some out clothes, get in touch. Let us know in the comments, and I will send them all to him and go. Sharman says, take a button-down shirt and make sure you've ironed it. Let's move on.
Just a quick one. There is a glaringly obvious choice or opportunity. I'm not wanting to put anything out there, but Dawson could be a number one in League One without actually having to move anywhere, because Rotherham are looking for a goalkeeper, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's his. I think that's his sort of level. But,
yeah, I think you're right, and I think Rotherham would love signing a player from us, and they try and stick it up our arse a bit, and it'd be a great signing for Rotherham, and he'd be bloody good, and he wouldn't have to move anywhere and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? It'd be a really good move for him. Now, Stevie mentioned the term. It's not a Hollywood signing, but this next signing will get Hollywood headlines. Charlie, we've signed a fullback from our local rivals, and I can't from memory. I don't know if it probably came up online last night, but I can't from memory think of a time when we've just directly signed a player from the Blades. I genuinely don't know if we've ever done that. But Max Lowe's come through the door. They say loyalty is dead, but ex-Nottingham Forest, Derby, Sheffield United player has now just signed for Sheffield Wednesday. This is fun, isn't it?
It is fun, and I think it's always an interesting one as well, because it's exactly the same as if it went the other way. Is you can't really gauge anything from fan reaction, because of course they're going to say shit whether he is or he isn't. Of course they're going to be like, "Oh, good luck," oh, kind of thing. But I don't know. I've got like a few of my friends who are Blades were kind of like, he's not really done much for us, but that doesn't mean he won't do for you. It's probably a good signing on paper for you guys, but he gets injured a lot. He's not really shown. But no one that I actually trust has sort of said, "Oh my God, he's terrible. Oh, he's howler after howler," kind of thing. So I think if anything, he's just kind of like, it's just kind of a question mark. He wasn't there to do enough, if that makes any sense. That doesn't really make sense. He's not done a lot bad, but he's not done a lot good. So I think any Premiership experience is probably good for us on paper. Like,
Premiership,
just saying, sorry. Oh God, I can't believe I've just
I
said that.
caught that. I caught that.
You've just done what we call. You've just done a Simon there. You've called it the Premiership.
I am
It's not been the
going to jump in the dance.
John will be on the comments. He loves calling that out. He'll be on.
Yeah, it'll
not
be
me getting cancelled again. This is like Light Day all over again.
Bloody women on the bloody internet talking about bloody football. Even though the English Premier League as a name is old enough to drink, you've gone with Premiership, and I like that. You're keeping it old school. It's all right. But sorry to interrupt your point there, Charlie. But for me, it just based on what you're saying, it's like Scotland against Germany on Friday, right? I have no idea whether it was Scotland playing terrible or Germany with that good, because Scotland was so terrible. And it's the same with Max Lowe. They were so dreadful in the Premier League.
A terrible season, and he was a player who was not directly responsible for that. He was hardly a bright spark, but show me a bright spark among them. And I think as well, like I was just saying again to Ash before we went live, like, we don't sign that many players that have recently played in the Prem. Like we said, like Paveda had, but in general, like, we don't have anyone that's got kind of Premierness to them. That sounds so mean. That in of itself has to be worth something, I guess. The best bit of it is it's that kind of like, we've took one of your players. I guess there's an element of that, particularly if he turns out being good for us. Like, that will be the chance right themselves, don't they? Like, to a certain extent, like he has the potential to do something hysterically funny and be absolutely amazing for us.
Yeah.
It's interesting. The stats aren't very helpful. I think you look at him and it's just a player that didn't do enough.
That had
anything,
a terrible season in the Premier League. Like,
just,
what I mean?
Like,
Stevie, have you got anything to add?
Stats wise, I'd go back to Ugbo, and I don't think Ugbo pulled up any trees in the first half of this season at Cardiff, and then he's come in, and we've managed to. We've managed to get a tune out of him, and I'd hope that we'd do something similar with Lowe. I think I said to Ash, or Ash responded in the chat when I said, if you take the name and the club away from it, that, as Charlie's just said, we're signing a player that's played in the Premier League, Premier League last season and has had a couple of years of playing in the Premier League. He's dropped out. That was his most recent sort of level that he was playing at, regardless of what you think. Yes, he played in a struggling side. There was no shining stars for them. And that's not me taking the piss out of United. They struggled last year, and they'd admit that they struggled.
It just did. They didn't strengthen their team, and they just got school every week.
It is what it is. And, the other bit is further down his career at sort of youth level, he's played at several levels for England. Forest rated him. He's played at a decent level in the past. Are there questions about his injuries? Yes, of course there are. Is it worth a punt? I'd say so. He's undoubtedly going to improve the quality of what we've got in the squad. And if we need 2 players per position, him and Marv in a left back berth, I don't think he's bad business at all. Ash's point was, and without wanting to steal his thunder, we don't know enough about him and his injury record ain't great. I totally agree with that. And I don't know enough about him because I don't go scouting United players, but based on those stats and that model, I'll take him. And I'm excited about it.
All what I was thinking about when you were both talking there is you've got a player at left back, left wing back. We've been playing as Johnson, who didn't have the great start of the season, obviously, and then you see what he did in a struggling team, and then towards the end in a team that were playing well, and he contributed massively on a number of occasions. Is if you're going to take that out, I would think that Lowe would be a like-for-like replacement, and he'd play the way that Johnson does, because we know what we get from Johnson, don't we? Mm-hmm. We do know what we get. So, like Stevie just said, I don't know what to get from Lowe. I know there's been people on Twitter putting clips about him and everything, but you can look at as much stats and clips and stuff as you want. But I know what I'm getting from Johnson, and I know he's a new signing. So if he's going to be another left wing back that's going to be challenging Johnson for a spot over, then we know what the benchmark was last season for Johnson. And if he's 10% more better than Johnson, then yes, great, what a signing. And then we've got 2 players, because last season we had Reece James at left back, who didn't get a look in. We played Firmino sometimes. Well, he was all right, but he's not what is needed in that position. And Johnson was what we needed. So I'm not, like Steve said, I'm not bothered about his name. I'm not bothered about where it comes from. I'm not too asked about Sheffield United myself personally, but I get how some people are. It's another player through the door. I think we had 14 first teamers. We've now added a couple. So it's getting there, isn't it? Left back probably wasn't my first choice as a where to strengthen, but when they come through the door, you don't know. You don't know when. Yeah. We might have signed a striker already, but he's on holiday. It's not been announced, and that was done weeks ago. You just don't know, dear. So I'm all right.
I tell you what. Listen. By the way, ladies and gents, while I've got you, can we stop stalking Jan Valerie's Instagram? We're starting to look like Arsenal fans. You know what I mean? The tracking flights across on flight pass and stuff like that. Let's just wait till let's just get it in the normal way and wait till Chansiri starts following him, which I know he's just done as well. Exactly. So we're all in a meltdown about it. But Juanita has put a great comment there, and I think a lot of people have agreed with it in regards to Max Lowe. Bottom line is we back Danny's judgment, don't we? And that's it. You know what I mean? I tell you what, is anybody else worried about next season if it goes to shit and Danny Rowlands?
Ash is worried. Ash is worried.
Is he? What? Like we put out so many comments saying Danny Rule this, Danny Rule that he's great, he's amazing. In Danny we trust. What if we're shit?
Ash says that all the time. I'll put in the chat, and his answer. But that's his answer. He's like, I'm like, we trust him. We know that with this management, nothing will go wrong. Yeah, you say that, but we don't know what he's going to be like because he's not done it before. Blah, 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 blah.
True, though, isn't
it? True, though, isn't it?
Mad Ward agrees with me. Totally agree with Ash. Who cares where he came from? Yeah, see.
Right. Okay. So we're going to talk about England at some point because I feel like with the tournament going on, we're a football show. Let's talk about football. But what I want to next week, right? Let's have a bit of fun. Next week is the fixture fixture
Release.
list announcement where we all start having a look and then we all start booking trains that inevitably get moved, et al. Now, obviously, we've got the derby this year, and there's always like there's a thing about it. It's like the first thing you look for in the when they get released and stuff like that. So this year we've got Derby County, who I genuinely dislike more than the Blades, I must admit. And I kind of, when do you want to play them? Do you want to get it out the way early doors, or do you want to, Boxing Day or something like that? Like, what away days?
I don't give a flying fuck.
Oh, is it just, it's just a thing that happens to you?
Yeah, I don't care. I
look
who we've got on the opening day. I look who we've got on the last game, Christmas. I couldn't give a shit when we played Sheffield United. I'd rather we didn't play them.
I tell you what, though, one thing I will be looking for, I want to be at home on Boxing Day.
It's my birthday, and I haven't had a Boxing Day match at home for ages. And I was talking to somebody about this, and they were like, yeah, but New Year's Day at home is always better than Boxing Day at home. No, it friggin' isn't. No, it's not. Who says that?
Bloody Jesus having his birthday the day before yours and ruining it.
I used to love going to the match on my birthday. I swear, maybe I'm just misremembering it, but as a kid, I swear we were at like Boxing Day at home all the time, year after year.
And then we went through a period of just not having
none. Like, I can't remember the last time. Years since we were last
home. It's a hell of a lot better being away on Boxing Day. Hell of a lot better. Oh, what? Away games, Boxing Day? Oh.
What about me? And how does this affect me specifically?
Yeah, that is the most important thing.
Millennials or Gen X or whatever you are.
She's only 30.
I don't know.
I'm only 30. We've established
She's
this.
only 30. We've established this. I tell you what, actually, Charlie, based on your young self, sidebar, I saw something yesterday on Twitter that really upset me. That said, and it was a chap who'd organised a date with another chap, and he was he said, bloody millennials are old now because I've just arranged a date with a guy and he's just responded with one of those GIFs with the big white text on it. Ugh, or something like that. Like, are we not supposed to be doing that anymore? I didn't get the email.
As well as being extremely young, I'm also extremely boring and married as well. So I don't know about what the young people are doing. But
stop sending her DMs, you lot. I know your game.
I'll tell you. Sorry, I'll tell you what. There's another one that someone else has agreed with me. I love this. I like people agreeing with me. Agree with Ash. I really like home last and not home Boxing Day. Starting out. There you are. Look at that. See, I know my shit.
It knows his shit. What about you, Steve? Have you got any like calendar days that like are important to you that you like? You know, like I would like QPR away to be a sunny day like it was last year, and we can get proper on the London away days. I like it when it's hot and like that. We're walking around and we're getting boshed up. Is there anything that sticks out to you and like for example, when would you want to play the Blades? I mean, Boxing Day Blades would be absolute sick potatoes, wouldn't it? But SYP might have an issue with that.
Well, this is it. You want the romantic sort of occasions, and I'm not talking Valentine's Day, to be those kind of situations. But I think in 2024-25, you're not going to get Boxing Day. I'm sure I've seen somewhere that within the algorithm or whatever it is that sorts out the fixtures, that they put out key points where you cannot play. So we won't play United on the Thursday. We won't play United on the last day. We're not going to play United around Christmas, New Year. I don't think. I would assume that it'll be. I just hope that. I'm assuming it's going to be on Sky. I just hope that they don't put it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It'd be nice to have it on a weekend, a Sunday. It'll probably be a Sunday lunchtime, I would have thought. So the pubs aren't open and people aren't getting pissed and being daft. Yeah. And do you know what? On a Sunday, that's where it's been over the last sort of half a dozen games that we've played them at. I'm all right with that. It doesn't really matter when we play them. From a United point of view, I've always said, like Ash has said, I'm not one of those Wednesdayites that is hate everything Sheffield United. For me, as a city, and I think we've talked about this, the controversial opinions on the 30-day challenge. My controversial opinion was I don't actually want United to do bad. I'm not bothered. The ideal model is for us to win a league and then finish second with us beating them twice, because that's good for the city. It's good for the infrastructure of Sheffield.
I tell you what,
on us.
I would like the City to perform well, if I'm honest, rather than and watch Derby County just tumble out the leagues.
Yeah.
But Craig Haywood there. Can you imagine United on Boxing Day with this 10 or 11 kickoff hanging after Christmas Day, right? And we've just sat here and said, we can't. They won't have it on Boxing Day, and then Paul Ferrugia has reminded us that the Boxing Day massacre in 1979 was against Sheffield United.
When was that again?
I feel that things have changed since then. Yeah, what was that thing that we keep singing about?
What date was that?
But I feel things have changed since then.
I'd love. Just to box it out, I'd love a London day in the sun, winning. If it's going to be away, somewhere like QPR would be great. Last day of the season, I'd rather play at home last day of the season with us winning a title or securing promotion or playoffs or whatever it is. Because you go back to 2012, you go back to Miracle of Hillsborough, you go back to those iconic moments that we've had in our relatively recent history. I'd like to do that with my kid. I'd like to do that with my mates. I'd like to be able to say that it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg to do it as well. Yeah. So I want to finish the season at home.
Yeah, to being away at Sunderland kind of sucked out the joy a little bit, didn't it? And those types of things in West Brom, and you kind of like, this is all right. Like I want a good running. So. Fixture announcements coming out. Thought I'd get a bit of content on that, see what people thought about it. Turns out nobody really gives a shit, so I'll tick that off and make a note of that. We've got Ike Ugbo pulling out of the Canada squad. Pulled out for personal reasons. Was going to, was very much in contention to be part of the squad, especially given the time he had with us since January. Pulled out for personal reasons. Let's hope that's signing a contract with somebody and finding a club. Let's hope that's happening. And last night, England played. So I've got a new segment, lads. It's a new segment. We're staying with it. It's going to be beautiful. And we're going to talk about European football. I want to talk about England. Let's talk about big sexy Jude Bellingham
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off. Well, it's a segment about England. It's about the Euros. Charlie, it's exciting, isn't it? It's nice being one of the favourites, but I can't work out if that's just bookies robbing us blind like they normally do when England play.
Oh, I mean, England fans are amazing, aren't they? Because we are simultaneously the most optimistic and most pessimistic. It's absolutely all coming home until, I don't know, we play one misplaced pass and then every single player should be hung for trees, and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the Euros, man. I can't get enough of it. I don't know what it like. I was like the World Cup stuff. It was just something about the Euros. There's just so much football happening, and loads of it, especially at this stage, is the best stage because loads of it's got nothing to do with you. Like there's your group, but there's just loads of matches where you've got absolutely no stakes in it. So you're just watching and it's just it's so good. Like even today, I've got Belgium in the sweepstakes, but there's something amazing about Slovakia beating Belgium, like amazing twist of football.
Yeah.
So England being favourites to win, sure, I'm sure we will. I bet we'll definitely win it. Of course we will. Why not? But the important thing is the Euros are great, and just enjoying it. Just enjoying it while it lasts. Jot that down.
Stevie, let's talk about big sexy Jude Bellingham. That bloke needs to leave some for the rest of us. Like, good Lord. Charlie, that is a beautiful man, right? I mean, he has, a lot of young women talking about 6'3" working in finance et al. Jude Bellingham beats all of those people, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about actual football, right? Instead of the fluff, right? So there's a lot being made of Phil Foden and his performance against Serbia. We're playing him out of position. We're chucking. And that's a great point, Artemis, right? So Artemis said, why can't Foden pass an England shirt? Stevie, I'll come to you on this. I think it smacks of shoehorning Paul Scholes on the left wing like we used to do back in the day, because we don't want to leave Phil Foden out. However, there is Phil Foden's quality. Don't get me wrong, I love what Phil Foden, but the geezer that plays in his position is better than him. So why don't we play players in the position that play the position he's playing him instead of trying to shoehorn him in somewhere? What do you reckon? Or is he that good? Let's try and get him in somewhere.
I think you've got to find a formation and a system and a way to play that gets your best players on the pitch with square pegs in square holes. And my controversial take on this is that if we had a manager that was a world-class manager, and I mean this with the greatest respect to Gareth Southgate, he would be able to find a formula that works and a formation that works for us. And I'm not sure. And I know people will make flippant comments about, I could pick that team and I could get them through the groups and this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? That England team has so much world-class talent. We've talked about Bellingham. We talk about Foden, Kane, Saka. I'm a massive Jack Grealish fan, and he hasn't made it. And I've got no argument with the fact that he'd not made it, because, who's he going to play in front of? And all right, you look down the bench and, who else could he have gone in front of? I think the Wharton one, there's always one sort of curveball, isn't there, that comes in late and, gets an opportunity and takes it. You go all the way back to Rooney in 2004 and Walcott in 2006. So I've no real argument with that, certainly in a squad of 26, but there must be somebody on this planet that can play Phil Foden, Saka, Cole Palmer, whoever it may be, whatever that sort of combination, Bellingham as well, whatever that combination of player is. For me personally, I think I'd probably like to see Bellingham sat a little bit, not deeper, because you look at what he's done, but giving license, sat in a role that gives license for 4 players in front of him to go and do a bit, with Declan Rice offering that insurance. But yeah, for me, there is enough in that squad to be pushing on. We're favourites in England. I'd be curious to see what the betting odds are in France and in Germany and in Italy.
Well, we'll find out when we go to Germany. Actually, we'll get straight on.
So you could
Sky Bet.
I think Germany will win it. By the way, I think Germany are going to win it.
Hot take. Ash.
I think I agree with Stevie, and obviously over this last 18 months, this is getting pretty scary occurrence, because we're agreeing a bit too much.
You'll be back on COP next year, and we can go back to disagreeing.
That's it. I think
2052.
I think the first
South Stand friends.
I think the first half an hour was excellent. I think that's how you want to start a tournament. I think I saw a stat before. I think we've all before last night.
Always draw or lose.
We've only won one out of 9 or 10 games or something like that.
I thought it was 12.
I think I put 12 in the chat, but I think it was 10, 9 or 10.
Right.
But not very good anyway for the first game. And I think the first half an hour fantastic. And Jude Bellingham did what he's been done for, was it 19 times for Real Madrid over the season from a position that he plays. I agree with you, Stevie. I'd like to try and get all our best players on the pitch. And for me, and I know this is a position that Stevie would probably think, but Trent in the midfield didn't work for me. And I think he's a great player, but trying to fit him into a position that is not a natural position, I think is one of them. But then if you take Trent out and you do play that, you are basically all you've got is just Rice in the midfield.
Yeah, I feel like Calvin Phillips has fall from grace a little bit. It's kind of made Southgate struggle. He doesn't have another defensive midfielder anymore, does he?
I personally would put Bellingham in there. I'd play a double. I'd play Bellingham as a double pivot. I don't think he has to play as a 10. I think Bellingham is fit enough, good enough, athletic enough to sit a little bit deeper.
He is, but is that not again
triangle?
Is that not again a square peg in a round hole? Here's Bellingham. This is what is world class at this position, and we've said to him, "Can you drop back a bit?"
No, I don't. I don't think he's a square peg in a round hole. I just think he's that good that he can do either.
Charlie, what do you think? He's talking utter shit. He wants Jude Bellingham smashing people in the middle of the park. He's off his head, man. Is he?
I think you have to look at what went right leading up to his goal as well. Is that I agree with Ash as well. Like everything went right for us in that first. I would say even the full first half. I think like it was the lead up and the build up to that goal. You were like that. There you go. That's perfect. And then absolutely nothing else seemed to go for us. And it was really hard to kind of pinpoint exactly what that issue is. I don't think we're lacking pace building up to crosses as well, though. We just people talk all about Foden, but Kane was absolutely AWOL as well. And it wasn't that they weren't getting crosses in; they were in roughly where they should have been, and nothing was kind of happening. I don't know exactly what it is about, whether it's position as much as it's mentality sometimes. I saw this really good tweet where someone had said, like, everyone's always asking, like, oh, what can England do to bring out the best in Foden? But no one ever asks, why doesn't Foden play his best football for England? And it's a fair point. Like, it does seem to be sometimes that perhaps, like, some of the other players just don't seem to bring out, like, their best football when they're playing internationally. Whereas I think with Bellingham, like, when you think what he's just done for his club as well, like the achievement he's just had, forgive me, Stevie, but like, I think he does have that mentality. You know, he had that, he has the drive, and I think we're at risk of almost building an entire team around one player that seems to be really up for it and really hungry for it. And yeah, I don't know. It was a disappointing second half. I think it was. There wasn't a lot of moments of quality where you thought, yeah, that's going to come up again. That's going to, because you look at Bellingham and you're like, I bet he's not going to be able to stop scoring, and then suddenly it all dried up around him. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the moving of Harry Kane either. That seemed to be weird. Go on, Ash.
Yeah, I think Harry Kane touched the ball once or twice in the first half, which is not ideal, is it, for your probably goal threat, one of the biggest goal threats you've got, and obviously now Bellingham scored. I think some of the substitutions as well. I mean, Bowen did do well when he came on, and that's not a change that I would have made personally. But then again, I'm not the England manager, am I? I didn't. And thing is, said about the midfield, we've got Rice, who's obviously one of the first names on the team sheet, but you've got nothing else after that. I don't Gallagher. I don't get. Like I said, I've just said I don't really agree with Trent playing in the middle. Wharton, I don't know enough of, but obviously he's there on merit, obviously. But I don't see anything. I haven't seen anything from him. But I think second half, I think Kane, when the ball went up to him, he was on the floor more times than bloody anything. I know he got a bit rough house from the centre halves. There were three big lads, obviously, but he's experienced, isn't he? He's played at the highest level for years now. Yeah. He should know how to manoeuvre that sort of rough house play. And I think we should have changed it. I should have took Kane off earlier, or took him off, should I say? Really,
I think it's bold not having neither Rashford or Grealish. I feel that's really bold because we used Grealish really well, or Southgate did. He was the only player I looked at and went, you use him really well. Leave him, we do all the work, smash him on the last 20 minutes, and he'd break him down. But I understand why he's not earned his place. But it's nice to see that Kyle Walker's getting the pelters from all of his Man City fans on Twitter because he dug out his own player a little bit. But there's been some great some great comments about England, and thank you for joining in. Now, hang on, that was.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Jesus Christ!
Absolutely shit my pants.
You're only supposed to. We blew the doors off it.
You've upped it, haven't you? You felt pressure on from last week's sweepstake, didn't you? You felt the pressure to bring out some FX
multimedia masterpiece. Yeah. Now
it's not quite rumour mill levels.
I should have done that when we were talking about Josh Windass. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Windass has apparently not signed a contract.
The rumour mill.
Good. That's what I do with my spare time. I've got a job now, so you know what I mean. You might see some of this.
Production levels are going to drop in the next couple of weeks, aren't they?
all gonna fall to bobbins. Right. Listen, I want you to think of some things. Right. Jude Bellingham's 20-year-old. He was probably born in 2004. Now, what were you doing in 2004? Can you remember? In 2004, 20 years ago. Now, Chaz, you'd have been 10 years old. You know.
You're just about to go to secondary school.
You're just about to go to secondary school. Now, these silly old sods here, right? The launch of Facebook. Facebook is as old as Jude Bellingham. Maria Sharapova. Do you remember when she won Wimbledon and she was 17 years old and started crying? That's where Jude Bellingham was born that year. Shrek 2. MySpace was the coolest social media. Motorola Razr was top banana at the time. Remember those bad boys? Yeah. Big year for the Nintendo DS. The toy of the year was the Robo Sapien. Did you get one of them, Chaz? You were probably the right age for it.
Robo Sapien. Yeah, maybe. I knew of them. Wow, and like he'd have been too little to have one because he'd have just been born. That's just so been crazy. Born.
And then the biggest social faux pas that we all had 20 years ago was we were all wearing Livestrong bands. Because we didn't realise Lance Armstrong was cheating at the time, and we're all paying 10 quid for these little yellow rubber bloody bands. It was absolutely weird. But listen, in the meantime, go on, Ash.
What was I doing? I was getting married. Oh no, the year after. Yeah, married. So I've been nearly married as long as Jude Bellingham has been alive.
He's your love child. What about you, Stevie? Where were you 20 years ago?
I was watching Rooney in the Euros. I was 4 years into teaching. I was 4 years out of university. No, the high top went in. The high top went at 18. So I was probably about 7-8 years out of the high top. But yeah, I was a young boy. I was still. I'll tell you what I was doing. I was living in a flat. No, I was living at Kiverton. And I was making a point of going out on a school night down to the lead mill and catching one of the red balloons that dropped from the ceiling at midnight every Thursday night, trying to hide it, keep it, take it home with me, and then wake up the next morning and go in and teaching and pretending I didn't have hangover.
Steady on, Nina. 99 red balloons there.
Yeah. So yeah, Craig Haywood, he was making a baby. Holly says that all the best people had the pink Razr, Motorola Razr. And what Slappy said there, 20 years old, best player in the biggest club in the world, already won Champions League.
Bellingham.
Different, right, yeah.
I think he's on about Bellingham, not himself.
Yeah, I was like, is he talking about Sheffield Wednesday there? Is that what's happening? But listen, I need to sign this off with congratulations to Chris Powell for getting himself an MBE for his services to football. He's become a hugely popular figure around Sheffield Wednesday. And I'll be honest, when he turned up at the club, I thought his managerial career has been a bit average. What's he going to do for us? And I have absolutely done a 180 on him. Fair play to you, Chris. You've been absolutely outstanding. And
sign the contract.
Deserve it. Now, sign the damn contract. I'll lend you the pen. Does anybody have any other business? Now I've made you all feel significantly quite old.
I have a little bit. If anyone watched the 5 o'clock kickoff, you saw the gaffer on the telly. Did you see him looking splendid? Yeah. If you didn't see it, you certainly caught it on Twitter because every fucker and his dog bloody posted a picture of him at telly. I was more interested in what people's tellies were.
Who's got a new telly for the Euros?
Yeah, it came across fantastic. Got to say though, really composed, knew his stuff. Seemed like a natural in front of the camera, which is worrying, isn't it?
Nice for us, isn't it? Nice for us. Jeff Wednesday mention. Nice for us, that isn't it? Like, can you imagine the last, like our manager? I know it's because he's German, but even so, like, it's a bit special, that, isn't it? I thought
there's a certain German manager out of a job who's been in the Premier League for the last 7 years, won a Champions League. He could have been on the telly, couldn't he? But no, instead of Jurgen, Danny, didn't they? So.
I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it.
Not a bad few months as he had. So.
No, it's not been too bad. Now, listen, thanks a lot for joining us. Don't forget, we've got some player interviews coming out the next week. You'll also see a couple of old ones turning up in your YouTubes and maybe into your podcast apps because I'm now trying to catalog things, and we've done a lot more than what I thought. I think the current count of player interviews that are available is 58. There's that many. I didn't realize we'd done that many.
That's the list at the physio at Middlewood, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Absolutely is. But there's some great stories. Search into your podcast app, The Wednesday Week Owls Alumni. In terms of will the Wednesday Weekers be at Owls in the Park, I think I'm working that day. What about you folks? Are you going? Go and see the new kit?
Maybe.
What date is it? Next week on Saturday.
29th.
Yeah, 29th.
Yeah, I'm taking Molly. Yeah.
Lovely stuff. And you might see one of these bad boys that have been rumored on Twitter.
Oh.
Now, my favorite thing about these rumors here is that screen grab that's now since been deleted is clearly from DH Gate. You know what I mean? It's clearly, it's a clumsily enlarged DH Gate knockoff, and I like it. I just don't like the that many stripes. I think it's too many. It looks like bananas in pajamas.
It looks like the shirt you wore at Wembley.
Yeah,
it does.
And I'm a stylish MF. They've probably looked at me and gone, "Do you know what? Who's that stylish guy?"
Inspiration, inspo.
I'll give you my opinion on it. I saw it and I thought, oh, blue and white stripes. How obvious. And then I went. And then I looked
this is my point.
Yeah, and then I looked at it and I was like, okay, fair enough. It looks like a polo shirt that you play golf in. And then I looked at the badge, and the off-centre badge off the little stripe has done my head in for the last God knows how many hours.
You can't unsee it now either, can you?
You can't unsee it. So if this is it, then you can guarantee Owls in the Park. If it is Owls in the Park, I imagine that's the best time to announce this. If this is the abomination, that it will go absolute crazy because people will just look at that and go, "It's off centre." Well, not like it's off the line. You want to get the point of the shield on the line, and yeah,
agreed. I do agree with that.
And this is coming from a guy who doesn't.
I love that
Goalkeeper kit.
It does look like
Peacock Farrell.
Peacock Farrell. Peacock Farrell.
Holland.
Holland.
Right, let's get out of here. Let's go watch some football. Go on, Ash. Check us out.
No, it's dog shit.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us. See you later.
See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week. Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday Week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live.
I normally just turn up and phone it in.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Like
that zero's gone, that goose egg's gone.
Also featuring player interviews.
It's Mr. Lee Bullen, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. John Harps, ladies and gentlemen. It's Captain Fantastic once again. It's Mr. Glenn Lubens.
Oh, it's Mr. David Stockdale joining us this evening.
It's Mr. Lloyd Owusu, ladies and gentlemen, who's joining us live on the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Carlton Palmer. How's it going, CP? You all right?
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us next season.
Put on your podcast.